Hello, good evening, and welcome to another Photo Creative Live. If you're new here, Photo Creative is a series of monthly challenges for you to stretch your creativity and your camera skills. And then we meet here and we do a little bit of live feedback. Who am I to do that? My name is Mike Browne. I am an internationally recognized photographer and trainer. I run workshops in various different parts of the world. I have online courses. I do talks. I speak and teach at one of the most prestigious photography events on earth called the Exposure International Photography Festival. And it is lovely to see all of you regulars here. Hello, Susie Natman, Fiona Kendall, Fiona Campbell, Jules, Sandra Sim, Gary Cleesby, Julia Gale. I don't know if we know each other, but welcome and thank you everyone. I can see there's a few donations popping in. This is supported by those people who get a little bit of value from these challenges, who can make a regular donation to help pay the costs of doing it, of running it, pay for my time. I'm not a charity, you know, I do it for a living, and Goodwill unfortunately doesn't pay the rent. So thank you guys for your donations there. It was good watching the chat. Don, I see you're in Canada. You've got some wildfires going on, so I read the comments. Hope you're well, mate, and stay safe, buddy. Hello, Emma, Alan Baxter, Matthew Parsons. Thank you all very much indeed for coming. So our challenge this time was fleeting moments. How do you do that? How do you capture a fleeting moment? Because it's not just about a picture of, I don't know, something that happens quickly, because we're looking for an engaging picture, something that's great to look at. That means using composition. It means using light, which will enhance that composition. It means knowing which focal length to use in order to get the look you want, because focal length does so much more than just make far off things come closer or getting more in with a wide angle. These are all the things that need to combine. And of course, you've got to be able to do that without thought in order to be able to be creative. Now, I had the amazing opportunity last week to capture a whole bunch of fleeting moments. I see our lovely Wendy Lamb is here tonight, and I'm delighted, honoured and privileged to have been asked to photograph her daughter's wedding. And it was a really great day. Lovely weather, lovely people, lovely place, all that good stuff. Thank you very much, Jeff, Kari, Don, by the way, and everybody else who has just made a donation. And you know, that thank you comes from everybody else within the group too, because it's always a little regular cohort who make little donations to keep it going. So if you're someone here, you didn't know about the donations, it's not expected, but it is very much appreciated to help pay the costs. Yes, so Wendy Lamb's daughter's wedding. Ellie, fantastic day. Think about it. What is wedding photography? Now, in the old days, it was basically taking the same picture over and over again. You'd find a nice little corner of a churchyard or a reception venue with some great light, and we'd sort of set up a shot and take the same picture and over again with different people in it. Now, of course, we want to do a few of the family pictures, but I would assert that really wedding photography is about capturing the moments, those fleeting moments. Who did what? Where did they go? So let's have a little quick look at a few of those, because I want to talk you through a little bit of this. Ellie has very kindly said, yeah, if you want to show people a few of our wedding pictures, then that's great. So let me see if we can just make this work properly. That didn't work, did it? So why didn't that work? There we go. Here it comes. So let me just talk you through a couple of little fleeting moments. So here comes Ellie down the stairs, just about to get married, right? Big smile. Things you need to think about are, what are your ingredients? Photography is like cooking, right? You need to think, what can I use? What can I combine to make something work? So what do we got here? We've got a really lovely staircase. We've got the yellow light coming from those lights, those sort of candle-shaped bulb things. But then we got this great big window with some gorgeous side light coming in. And because it's a big window, what does that mean? It's soft light, it's a big area. Therefore, the light is going to wrap around people really, really nicely. By the way, none of these shots until one near the end were using flash. No flash used at all available light. Much, much nicer. You start pushing a flash into things, you're going to kill the light, you're going to kill the mood, you're going to kill the ambience. You've got to be super careful with flash. So these are the things to look for, right? So they're coming down the stairs, and that is a fleeting moment, because I didn't stop them. I didn't say, oh guys, can you stop there, turn this way a bit, do this. They're just coming down the stairs. And by thinking ahead, where do I want them on the stairs? Where is the light going to be the nicest? We don't want them at the bottom of the stairs because most of the light will be behind them. We want as much light in front of them as possible for that shot. Another fleeting moment. And again, think about light. Light is king. Light is the most important thing on the planet. So here we go. They've just got married. I'm doing the walking backwards thing, hoping I don't tread on anyone or fall over. But look at the light on their faces. It is really beautiful, lovely light. Thank you, Jane Barnes. Thank you, Felix. Beautiful light on their faces. Why? Really, think about it. Look at the picture. Ask yourself, why is there such nice light on the bride and groom? What's going on? There is a clue in this picture. There's that curtain on the left. The curtain is over a doorway. So we've got a load of light streaming in from a very bright garden through that doorway. What does light do? Exactly, Michelle. Light through the door. Now they're not opposite the door, so it's not direct light coming from the door that's hitting them. Light behaves like a liquid. So imagine there was a spray of water coming in through that doorway. If you're stood just to the side of that spray, you're going to get little droplets on you, aren't you? Little soft caresses of water. This is what the light is doing. It's frothing in through that doorway, but the little droplets are hitting Ellie and Mike, and it's lighting them up beautifully. All you got to do is make sure you got the right exposure for that light, because the difference between the lights coming through the doorway and that pace back from it is quite a lot. So you've got to watch your shutter speed. Make sure you don't get camera shake. Yeah? That's all it is. You've got to be able to look around you and understand what's going on in order to capture little moments. Here's one about focal length. Now, this shot, sorry, I haven't put it up yet. So the shot of them coming down the aisle, that's a short one-angle lens. It gives a feeling of intimacy. It gets in a bit of the surroundings and the room. That's why it's taken with a short lens. I want to feel close to them, and I was, because it's a short lens. Here's an example of using a longer lens for a similar thing. So you've got them coming out through the door and everyone's throwing confetti in the air and they're going, woo! Why use a longer lens? Why not use a wide lens? Wide lens will look dramatic in this, and there is a place for it. But the longer lens brings things together. It brings the doorway up behind them. It compresses stuff so that it looks like there's more confetti. Even though there was a lot, it makes the confetti sort of really fill the air. It brings all the people together, rather than having sort of like a big person near the camera, because it's a wide angle lens and then they're all going like small boo, 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 into the distance. The longer focal length makes it work. So I'm further back with a longer focal length. I don't change lenses, I use zooms. It is so easy, it is so quick. You got a good quality zoom, it's not a problem. Fleeting moments, because none of those have been set up. These are things as they happen. Another fleeting moment, but of a different kind. You know, they were in the lounge, all their guests are in the garden, they're like, oh, we're so hungry, and all their guests are being given canapes. And I just sort of grabbed one of the staff and just said, hey guys, any chance some food for the bride and groom? It's a little fleeting moment. Ellie's like, wow, I'm starving, and grabs something. Mike's laughing at her. There's a little story going on here. Again, there's some nice light because it is, again, opposite that doorway we talked about earlier. Yeah, exactly, Michelle. He's having a real good laugh at his shiny new wife. Also, I like the fact that he's holding the flowers for her. It's a fleeting moment. Thank you, David. It's a fleeting moment. And you've got to think ahead. What is likely to happen? Where is some great light? How can I engineer a situation? So these all come together as part of it. Also, of course, you've got to be doing your camera without thinking about it. because, you know, as we're moving around inside different places, really the exposure is being controlled with ISO, not shutter and aperture, because I haven't got time. When in this area, I would set a manual exposure and leave it, because once it's set, I haven't got to think about it. But if I go through a door, move to a different area where the light's different, I need to change it. Why use the ISO? Because I want to keep the shutter speed at a speed where there won't be blurry soft pictures because of camera shake. I want to use a kind of middling aperture, about f8, so I know I've got pretty good depth of field, because with fleeting moments there isn't time to mess around trying to get a precise focus. Now Wendy showed me something really cool on her new camera, which I think is a Z6 II or 3 or something. Wendy, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. And that has an amazing face detect thing. My Z7 I doesn't have that, so I'm using conventional focus, right? I've got a single point and I'm just using that to focus, just like we all do. Other thing, look for opportunities. This little guy was playing around with a giant chess set. So like Z6 III, yeah, thank you Wendy. This little guy was playing around with a giant chess set. So it's like, watch him and go, now that could make a really cool picture. Now in this case, again, wider angle lens, because I want that feeling of intimacy, that closeness. So I'm very close to the giant chess set and just hoping something will happen. It might not, he might run off, we don't know. But actually what happened is he picked up a broken chess piece and then brought it to show me. Magic happens, but you've got to be in the right place. Try and put yourself in front of magic and then things will happen. Sorry guys, I didn't click the button, did I? One idiot. Idiot Browne. Sorry about that. Now there is chess. They're all strewn around behind him, Jules. Yes, so it's because I can see it on my screen, but I forgot to click the thing. Sorry. Yeah, so that's the story. Watching him play with a giant chess set and then thinking, what might happen? He might run away, he might not, don't know. But as it happens, he wanted to come and show me a broken one. So was really lucky with this little guy. Little magic moments going on all the time. Fleeting moments that don't last long, you know. They were given these baseball caps during the meal. So it's like, capture those little moments, those little smiles, little bits of stuff they will remember. Because I always say to people, a wedding isn't the photographer's photo shoot. The photographer is there to record a milestone event in somebody's life. It's not the photographer's photo shoot, and therefore you've got to just move, you just got to get things done and look after them. It is cute, isn't it? Another fleeting moment, which often works, and I'm afraid I steal other people's pictures quite a lot, not just at weddings, but in all sorts of situations, because it usually makes an engaging, kind of interesting image, yeah? If we're storytelling with our pictures, which is really what a fleeting moment is, then, you know, people are always getting their phones out and taking pictures, and you can just like get over their shoulder and steal their picture. It's fun. Things like that. Again, you've got to look for the expressions. We need that engagement when working with human beings. Now there's fleeting moments and other things too, of course. You don't just have to photograph people for a fleeting moment, I get it. But when doing something like this, you want an engagement. It's not just two people dancing. Another thing which can work, this is a little tip for you guys, anyone who's into this, is when you photograph people dancing, you can end up with this weird sort of a look like that. You know, you're freezing someone in a moment in time and they look weird because there's no sense of movement. So it's a good idea to introduce movement so that you kind of know that they're dancing. So how could we do that? Actually, it's a real question. Stick something in the chat, please. How could we do that? How could we keep them sharp but introduce a sense of movement into a dancing shot? Go on, pop something in the chat. Panning. Good one from Michelle. Anyone else? Come on. Gary saying pan, zoom and press the shutter. Ooh. We've got two very good answers. Use a slow shutter, panning, slow shutter, slow shutter. Yes, there's a missing ingredient which two people have mentioned already. It's not just the... There we go. Jules just clarified it. Exactly. And Alison said it as well. A rear curtain sync flash combined with a slow shutter speed. So here's a little tip for you. Try this. Next time you go to a family party or something, try this one. So what I do is I set an available light exposure about 2 stops less than the light that there is. So if it says something like, I don't know, it wants a 60th of a second, then I will set a shutter speed of a 2/50th. That's 2 stops less light, okay? In this case, there's a lot less light. Because I want to introduce movement, I set a shutter speed of 1/4 of a second and then use ISO and aperture to reduce it by 2 stops. But I want that 1/4 of a second because I want the movement. Then, using one of these things, a speed light, and I feather the light. I don't shoot at people like that. Feather the light. Just kind of like use a diffuser and just flick it up in the air so that they're getting overspill light just like from the doorway. Yeah? Make the flash fire at the end of the shot, not the beginning, rear curtain sync. And then as they're moving, you see these little moments, you press the shutter and move the camera fast. Yeah? So he smiles at her, you go click and go like that, click and go like that, click, 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 click. Move the camera quickly and then the flash freezes the action, but the movement creates that little bit of blur so we know there's movement going on in there. And then finally, comedic moments, but you still need to make an interesting, engaging picture. And this is probably my favourite moment from the entire wedding, speaking as a documentary storytelling photographer. That was this little moment when 2 of the guests came in through this window, and I just love what was going on. You can almost tell from the picture what was going on. See how he's half looking back over his shoulder whilst this lady in this rather amazing green trouser suit, she is sort of going, oh no, I've spilt something on my trouser suit, on my dress, whatever the hell you call that thing. So she's grabbed it in a kind of inappropriate place, but the way she's leaning forward grabbing that and he's looking back over his shoulder. If you're going to photograph people, you need to try and get an interaction, get them doing something, not just walking away from you or walking past or something. And again, there's no flash in this. This is just available light. The exposure is set for the room, not the garden, which is why the garden's kind of blown out. Let it blow out, who cares? It's that beautiful backlight wrapping around them. I thought it was an amusing, funny little moment. And they were great about it because I laughed as I took it and then showed them. And I did make it up to them and just said, go on, give her a hug. And then took a nice little picture, which I'm sure Ellie and Mike will hand over to them. This is kind of the sort of photography which I like, storytelling. It's not just doing a wedding, it's telling a story in pictures, using fleeting moments. So these are things to look out for, you know, in the street, wherever you may be, because there are stories and fleeting moments happening all the time. Try not to overthink it. Just take on board everything I've just said. Now, you might not have been able to do that. Watch the replay, take that on board and think about what I've just said, because it will really, really help you. Something to help you even more, come on to my workshops, because that's what they're for. Come and have a great time somewhere different, where it'll get your creative juices going. Some of you guys I know have been on these workshops. Wendy's been on a couple of workshops. Jules has been on workshops. Lots of people here have been on workshops. Come on one. I think you'll find it is really good value, really good fun. You'll come home with a bunch of interesting images and you'll have learnt a bunch of things, which is even more important than the pictures. Because the pictures, yeah, they're great, they're nice, but if you don't know how you did it, that's not much use, is it? Whereas if you come home with some new knowledge and some new skills, you can use them again and again and again for the rest of your life. So, anyway, there endeth the lesson. for today. Thank you, Wendy. I don't know if you've seen all the pictures. You must have done, because you asked for something to be changed on something, which of course has been done. Before anyone asks, yes, I do shoot raw files because it gives me the ability to make sure everything is exactly how I want it. Just like in the old days, we shot film, and then the person who printed that film made sure everything was how I wanted it. I had a great relationship with Phil Dean, my printer. He knew how I liked pictures to look, and he printed them accordingly. Same thing, only I do it now. So yeah, that was I think it was about 12 and a half, 13 hour it took to just go through all the images, get everything just nice, make sure it's good, get everything packaged up. So, Nicey Fefcom, will there be another workshop in Zurich? Asked Jules. There may be, Jules, but I need to get a bit more interest going on, because the last one really was like trying to flog a dead horse, I'm afraid. Didn't get much reaction there. We got Lanzarote coming up. Fantastic workshop. Easy place to get to if you're in Europe. Not so easy for you guys that are outside of Europe, but that said, I've had people come from the States, I've had people come from Canada to come on that workshop for the week. So, you know, have a look at the website. By all means, send me a message, ask questions. I can deal with it. This probably isn't the forum, because what you really want is to have a look at the pictures from this challenge, so I can give you a little bit of feedback. So bear with me a minute while I get my screen sorted out. Michael Duff says, Lanzarote, I'll miss out, so sorry, catch you another time. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Michael. Were you already booked on it? Forgive me, because I can't remember everything, but I hope you do manage to come on one at some point. Right, what's going on here? Something isn't working. Here we go, nearly there. Okay. Yeah, you got some really cool pictures. It blows me away how you guys have come on in leaps and bounds with your photography. I do need to just quickly mention Wendy Lamb here. Wendy didn't take it, but I happened to go into a room in the hotel where the girls were getting ready to take a picture out the window, and I saw Wendy's camera sitting on a tripod. How could I resist? Sorry I didn't get in focus, Wendy. But yeah, I just sneakily took a picture and then left it. So you obviously found it, but it was a fleeting moment, I guess. So let's have a look at your pictures. That's the most important thing. I'm really annoyed that that's not in focus, actually. I thought your whiz-bang camera would be able to do it, Wendy. So, Sandra Sim, let's just start here, shall we? It is a fleeting moment. There's a great sensation of laughter and joy on this little girl's face, and I really like the fact you've caught her mid-air. You know, she's mid-stride, she's just above the ground as she's like running across the beach. Kids love that stuff, don't they? And it is a fleeting moment. It's a little fleeting moment of childhood, a little fleeting moment of a mood of, excuse me, I need to move something. There we go. A little fleeting moment. It's great. Sandra, you're really good with this sort of work. You know, your street photography is great. But I do have a question here. That is, do we need quite so much at the bottom? Now I get it, there's a reflection there as well as a shadow. I quite like that three thing, you know, the little girl, the shadow and the reflection. But if we do our crop thing with your hand or whatever, close one eye, find something. I'm just going to take half of the gap at the bottom off, because I just think there's a little bit too much space at the bottom. Also, Sandra, I don't know if you could have done a little bit of something, maybe taught the exposure down just a bit, because I think it would strengthen the shadow and the reflection. It would just sort of help bring them to life a little bit. But it is a fleeting moment, and you have captured it really nicely because there is something going on. It's not just a thing, if that makes sense. Okay, let's just move back up. I know I was going to start at the top and then I got distracted. There are some amazing little fleeting moments. I say this is a great fleeting moment here from Alan Bristow. It's just like different, and you have caught a moment. You know, look, this woman's going somewhere. Look at the way the breeze is moving her dress. Look at the way that it's moving her hair. She's looking at her phone. She is, as Mickey Flanagan would say, double busy. You know, she's up to something and she's going somewhere. And I think it is such a great juxtaposition with this old photograph of the pier. I know there's a lot of that, but because it's an old sort of sepia looking picture and it is so different, I think it actually draws our eye to this double busy woman who is actually occupying a smaller space in the frame. I think it is a cracking shot, Alan. I'm not sure how I can say you could improve it. I think you did a really good job. I like the fact she's backlit. Light is king. You see the light in her hair. The sun is coming up the street behind her. How do we know the shadow's going in front of her? So Alan has had to get an exposure which allows for the shade area, which shouldn't be too difficult in this case because everything's in shade, apart from that highlight around her hair. It's rim light and it makes it look really great. I totally agree, Beryl. Yeah, when I first looked at it, I thought it was two different pictures and I wasn't quite sure. And then as soon as I brought it up on the screen a bit more, I thought, I like that. It works. Yeah, that's a good point, Julia. Yeah, the double busy woman has got some similar colours going on, which links her to the old sepia photograph. Nice work. Before we look at another one, guys, if you haven't hit that like button, would you please be kind enough to do that? Because it really makes a difference. It helps get these things out there. It helps make things happen. So please just take a moment, go and touch on that like button because the world is run by algorithms today. What do we got going on here? Joel! Hello, Joel. Down there in the Philippines. I really like this picture. I think it's a great shot. I like the light on the child's face. The brightness of the window is just a little bit domineering, which is a shame. But the light on this child's face is fantastic. And once you get to that, it totally works in that aspect. Is it a fleeting moment? That's my question. Fleeting moments, they tend to be, I find, something that's moving. It's on the move. It's going somewhere. She doesn't give me the feeling she is going somewhere. She's an airplane, but I don't get the feeling that you know, that moment is fleeting. I get the feeling that she's daydreaming and staring out the window and really quite calm and peaceful, rather than a bit like the little girl running down the beach who's like laughing, and you know that could change at any moment. She might run in a different direction. She might turn around and go the other way. She might fall over. I don't know, but things can change. But I do like it overall. I like the way you use light, Joel. You know, you haven't been doing photography that long in the great scheme of things, but I think you do some amazing things. Let's have a look at our gull here. It's Michelle Ridout. Hello, Michelle. Okay, so yeah, we got some nice rim light on the gull. I would get it. Forgive me, Michelle, I'm not getting fleeting moment. I'm getting gull flying through the sky. Now, if the gull was in the process of stealing something, or doing something, you know, it's like gulls fly in the sky all the time, and I get it, you had to move quick to catch the gull. Please don't think I'm dissing your, you know, trying to capture something, because it's not easy. But I'm not quite getting the fleeting moment part, I'm afraid. Thank you, Martin. I'm getting it's a nicely lit picture of a gull. I think it's been cropped quite heavily too, because it looks to me like on my screen it's going a little bit pixely. I don't mind a few pixels. What's the word? It's blocking up a little bit. So I think your gull was a little way off. If it was a flock of gulls mugging someone because they're sitting by the sea and they're eating something, chips, I don't know if you've ever seen it, you know, they'll come down, they'll steal things clean out of your hand. I think that would kind of work. Michael Duff asked a question, does the shutter speed need to be faster the smaller the bird? No. The shutter speed would need to be faster according to how fast the bird is moving. So if you've got a little bird, it makes no difference whether, and the bird's not moving, maybe it's stuffed, right? If it's not moving, it makes no difference what shutter speed you use, so long as you combine it with aperture and ISO in order to get an exposure which works for the bird. Yeah, if you need to freeze motion, then yes, the shutter speed makes a difference. If you've got a hummingbird, for example, if you want to be able to see the wings at all because they beat so fast, you're going to need a pretty fast shutter speed. I can't tell you what, because I haven't photographed a hummingbird. You'd have to experiment. But you need a pretty fast shutter speed even to catch motion blur in the wing, because those wings move so fast, you probably end up with the body of the bird and no wings at all if your shutter speed wasn't fast enough. Michael, these are all things that are in my masterclass online course. It's 75 quid, right? It's a bargain. This will answer all of those sorts of questions for you and a whole multitude of others. There's a link in the description below to all that good stuff, so please go have a look. Absolutely, Still Matthews. Depends on the speed of the bird. Sorry, Michelle. Nice picture of a seagull. I'm not quite getting the theme come through on it. Fiona Campbell. I get it. This one is a fleeting moment, albeit a relatively slow moving one, because you didn't get that sun on the horizon for very long. This just sort of happened, and you waited, didn't you? I know Fiona's been on workshops and is coming on another one soon. You waited, you know all this stuff, you could see the gap on the horizon and the clouds, and I bet you anything, Fiona, please correct me if I'm wrong because I'm pretty sure you're here. Did you just wait and think, okay, if I'm lucky and that gap doesn't close, the sun's going to go into that little narrow gap and then go over the horizon, which means you've got a little window of opportunity in order to capture the sun above the horizon and get that bit of starburst. There we go. Fiona said, yes, I waited. There's a huge amount you can learn looking at someone's photograph. Dissect it. Ask yourself questions. How did they do that? Why did they do that? How did they capture that? Fiona didn't just walk along and go, oh, that's nice, click. Yeah, Fiona thought about it. There's clouds in the sky. If I'm lucky, we might get some great colours going on. Okay, maybe you didn't get the wild sky on fire colour, but you got something else instead, which is really nice. Critique, Fiona. I think your foreground's a little bit bright. I would be inclined to let it darken a little more, because this mid area here is kind of darker, but it's brightening up here. I like the line of the rock taking us up to the sun, but I do think, yeah, let your foreground go down just a bit. It just looks a little bit too bright to my eye, which I'm guessing it was done in post-production. Also, I mean, I don't really have a problem with horizons in the middle, by the way, but I'm just going to do a little test to see what happens if I take either a little bit of sky off or a little bit of the rocks off. Do you know what? I like the rocks. I'd be inclined to take a little tiny bit of sky off the top if I was to do either. But as Still Matthew says, nice photo. Well done, Fiona. Let me just move on a bit more because time's ticking on and we've got quite a lot of entries this time. You're really welcome, Fiona. Marlene Berkslund. Hello, Marlene. I don't believe we've met. Thank you for being here. Your neighbour's daughter. It's a really lovely, moody sort of a picture, which I do like. Again, I'm saying it's a very calm moment. Is it a fleeting moment? I don't get the impression of something fleeting, something moving quickly, or something that's not going to last very long. I get the impression that she's very calm, she's very peaceful. If you're here, I'd love to know, is this a posed sort of a portrait, or is it genuine, you know, a moment? And I get it. But the feeling I get is that it wasn't so much fleeting. I don't get the impression she's about to jump up and run off. Beautiful light. I like the light sort of coming across her, but it seems very dark to me. Now, maybe it looks different on your screen. Guys, does it look dark on your screens, looking at this through YouTube? Or is it just me? Just say something in the chat, please. Looks dark. Okay. I think it could do with being a bit brighter. Now, maybe you did it dark on purpose because you were thinking about highlights in that white dress. That can be a problem, yes. If it's dark and you're not sure why, it could be down to your metering mode. If by chance you had it on spot metering, for example, and your spot was on that white dress, particularly a shady area of the white dress, that would crush the exposure down, because it would be trying to make that white dress go grey, and that would have the effect on the whole picture of making it go dark. The spot metering is extremely accurate, but in all honesty, since we got digital cameras, I've never ever used it. Why? Because I got other tools which are more accurate. A histogram which I can look at immediately, which will tell me what the tones of the image are far more accurately than a light meter. In the days of film, that was different. You had to really think about it. You had to think, where am I going to peg the exposure? And so you might spot meter from a particular place, manually set that exposure in order to ensure you've got the exposure that you want. In this case, I'd probably go for a bit of this post here, somewhere there, or more likely one of these lilies, because they are the green grass. That is a mid-grey tone, so I would spot meter off them rather than from the girl, because if you get one of the bright bits, it's going to crush the exposure. What's this one? Still Matthew says, could be black and white in post, especially raw photo can have many filters of black and white. Yeah, I know, it could be a filter. Maybe you've done it on purpose, Molly. In which case, if you love it, that's not up for question. I'm just coming at it with my looking at it eye. Thank you for being here, by the way, and welcome. And please stick around and do some more. I know I'm moving a little quickly, but I just need to get through these because there's so many. And I hope you've all looked at the album, because there's some lovely shots here. I thought this was an amazing fleeting moment from Guy Kreidler. It's a real wildlife shot, isn't it? It is definitely a fleeting moment. That moment when this, what is it? He wrote it in here. Pie-billed grebe decided to wrestle with a dojo loach. It's not easy to capture those sorts of moments, so you did really, really well there, Guy. So what would my critique be? Now I'm pushing this envelope. It's a great moment. The problem being, the light is not helping you. So when you see these amazing pictures in wildlife magazine, wildlife photographers, professional wildlife photographers, they spend so much time waiting for light to change to make sure they do the very best job that they can. The light is a little bit high in the sky and it's not helping. If the light was coming in from the side a little bit lower in the sky, that would help. Now I get it, Guy. You've probably got a life and things to do. Wildlife photographers haven't. They just go and hide by lakes for months on end, hoping to get that shot. I'm highlighting this for you because it's so easy to see a picture in a magazine and go, I want to do that, and then it doesn't quite live up to that expectation. But you probably don't see the possibly months of waiting and work that goes into getting that shot. It's a magical moment. It's definitely a fleeting moment. Well done you. I wish the bird, the grebe, had turned around so it was facing you with that thing in its mouth, because that would absolutely make it pop. But your exposure's spot on. You've done a great job of capturing a fleeting moment. Well done, Guy. Maud McLean. It's all right, we've just been killing time till you got here. Microdusting exposure compensation would help. Not sure. Are you talking about the black and white lady there, Michael? Yeah, I'd just say brighten the exposure, whether you do it with exposure compensation, whether you do it by opening the aperture a bit or slowing the shutter speed a bit or increasing the ISO. Doesn't matter. There are so many ways to increase your exposure a little bit. I want to talk about this one, Jeff, because you've got a fleeting moment, all right, my friend. No question. Something looks a bit crazy with it. Now, you said something about light here, I think, how he was lit up from the sun. He really is lit up, almost to the point where it looks unnatural. Now, I'm taking your word for it because everybody in this group is completely authentic, upfront and honest. And I am taking your word for it. I mean, you do get this powerful, powerful light at times. I've got pictures I took in Cambodia and places like that, and I just think, well, no one's going to believe it actually looked like that. And no. Fantastic piece of fleeting moment photography, Jeff. My thing here is, you said in your description the guy did a front flip off a bridge and you were able to catch him just before his chute inflated, and you like the light. Brilliant. Light is the most important thing. The thing is, because we can't see the bridge, because we can't see where he has come from, to me it looks like a picture that's been turned on its side. Yeah? So I would say give it room. Come back a bit. Let's see, where has he come from? He's come off a bridge, and also that would orientate it. So if we could see the trees, which look like they're reflecting, there's something going on there. If we could see a little bit of the trees, something, the bridge, that anchors it as being the right way up, and this guy's really way out there, that would add to the fleeting moment thing. But love the way you spotted the light, love the way you thought about it. Good job. Let's ease up a little further. There's lots of great things going on in here. Let's use this. Carrie. Hello, Carrie. Or Kari. I wish we could speak to each other. Definitely a fleeting moment because of the emotion, the look in their eyes, all that stuff going on. You've certainly captured a fleeting moment, no question. Your exposure's spot on, all that good stuff is there, technically. You know what I'm going to say, don't you? The light is killing it a little bit. You can't control that because this fleeting moment was happening somewhere where the light wasn't your friend. These things happen, which is so frustrating. If they were backlit, if there was a little bit more light happening, that would really help. But I love the fact you caught this little magical moment between these two people. It's like they are completely oblivious to everything else that's going on around them. Definitely a fleeting moment. We seem to be on a very wedding-y theme here, don't we? I'm going to go a bit quicker. Jonathan Kimberley. Good thinking. I like your creative thinking. A fleeting moment, yeah? Those few seconds before the match goes out. It's really well done. And it reminds me of something I did actually when I was going to night school and learning photography. Because by the way, no one's born knowing this stuff. We've all had to put in, the hours. We've had to do our 10,000 hours to get good at it. Photography is a little bit of knowledge and a whole ton of practice. I like your thinking, Jonathan, and I like the way you've composed this. The very, very graphically square on matchbox and the matchstick poking in from the side. My question is, and it's a great shot, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking your photograph. I'm thinking, how could it have been improved? Would it have been possible for you to capture it as you were striking it along the box, would there be a way to hold that box still, clamp it to something, and then maybe somehow with a remote or a cable release or something, be dragging the match across the top and then firing the shutter to get that moment as it splutters into life? Because I think that really would be the fleeting moment. But good job, great exposure, well composed. I like the style of it, and I like your thinking as well. Who's this? Uli Weibel. I'm guessing that's how I pronounce it. This is an intriguing picture, and as a picture I absolutely love it. Oh, Mr. Clifton has already written on there, yeah, love the composition in black and white, but I don't see it as a fleeting moment. I'm afraid I see the same thing. Uli, I'm fascinated by that picture. Is it a coincidence that you've got these two women with relatively short hair, one in the picture, one looking at the picture, both wearing black dresses? And if it's something you spotted, as in you were in a gallery and you saw this moment, then I guess it is a fleeting moment. I think it's a great shot. I really do. I think it is a bit of classical street photography to look at. Yeah, what more can I say? I think it's a great job. If you're here, Uli, please do tell me. By the way, I haven't seen any comments. Can you guys still hear me? Is anything going on? Because usually you're all babbling away like crazy. Uli! Good. You are all alive. Yes, it is a coincidence. Uli's so well spotted, my friend. So well spotted, so well captured. And you have done it really carefully. I like your positioning of the lady in the picture. What a fantastic bit of photography. All good, still listening. Good. You can hear me in Alaska. Thank you, Krista. Here's a picture I really like. Damon Dickox. He sells happiness. He said he looks like he does. I don't know where this is, but it's an intriguing place. There's things about this I think that really work. Look at the colours, what this guy is wearing, and how he blends with all these colours going on up that street. The fact there is nobody else on that street. Oh, hey Damon, Segovia, Spain. Wow. It does look great, and I love the fact the street's empty apart from this one person. Okay, this guy's colours, they blend in with the street, but human nature is we have to look at a human being, and then we got those little rainbows coming from these gigantic bubbles that he is creating. He sells happiness. To me, this picture raises a whole bunch of personal questions inside. Who's he selling the happiness to? Because there's nobody there. And that makes it a very intriguing and interesting photograph. Damien's put this together very carefully. Look at those verticals. Look at the lines on the pillars. It's not on the skew. Everything is beautifully lined up and really well composed. I love the positioning of this guy. The fact you've given that person space to breathe and told us where that person is, somewhere Mediterranean. You've now clarified Spain. Oh, Damien, you removed the other people. Good creative stuff. I was so hoping there was no one else there. But again, nothing wrong with that. You know, we can create things these days which we couldn't in the past, or rather you could in the past. But it was a lot more difficult than being able to remove people and the cloning. I totally respect you for telling us that, because you have created a very, very engaging image. And I guess it is a fleeting moment with the bubbles. All I can say is congratulations on a well exposed, nicely composed, an engaging image. Right, I'm going to have to move up a little bit faster. Oh, Jan Roberts. Jan! Hello, Jan Roberts. A moment of rainbow glory. I get it, Jan. You've got your exposure spot on. You've got a great little moment. I love that little flash of rainbow rather than have, the great big arch. I think it's really rather nice. My feedback for you, Jan, would be we don't need quite so much top and bottom. I think, guys, do this. Get a piece of paper, get your phone out, whatever. We're going to crop the picture. Close one eye, right? Get your phone case or anything. Close one eye. Let's take 2/3, if not more, of those trees out. Because if you've just got the very tops of the trees against that sky and that rainbow, I think it becomes a lot more powerful. And if you shot it the other way, perhaps, I'll do it with my hand. Let's take just a bit of the sky off so that it's, you know, a regular sort of 4x3 landscape shaped shot. I think it improves it a lot, particularly with just a little bit of green. All that green at the bottom is kind of distracting from the rainbow. But close the correct eye, otherwise it is very blurry. I hope your eyes are all right there, Jane. That's all I can say, Jan. It's we see everything in the middle. You know, when I'm looking at you, when I'm looking at whatever, it's in the middle of our field of view and our brain filters the rest of it. The Pro camera can't do that. That means we have to imagine the picture frame around it and then act accordingly to remove the bits that I think are not adding to it. Hey Jan, it appeared quickly and disappeared just as quickly. I don't doubt that for a moment, Jan. These things do that. But this is that whole thing. I'm sure it would have been there just long enough for you to think, oh, rainbow, click, and then had a moment's thought and thought, hang on a minute, how about if I tilt the camera up a bit and lose some of the green, click? How about if I tilt it down a bit, click? How about if I turn it the other way, click? Do you know what I mean? Rather than going click and then looking at it and going, oh look, I got a picture of a rainbow. Oh, I'll take it, oh, it's gone. Yeah? It's stay with the action whilst it's happening. But it's a beautifully done picture. No worries. Welcome, Orion. I've got to do this one quickly. Ian Robb, great fleeting moment, my friend. I wonder where you were when you shot this magic moment somewhere. I hope you were somewhere on a river, being, you know, the woodman, as it says there. It's a great fleeting moment. I can't knock that from you. You've got your shutter speed just right. You've got the movement in those droplets. Ian, if you're here, I'd love to know, did you shoot it in burst mode? Because these sorts of things can be really great in burst mode, because it gives you so many opportunities to catch the right moment. It's a great moment. Personally, I find that the bear's eye and lip kind of distract a bit, particularly the eye, because it gives it a mad look, and rather than getting a grandeur of nature thing, even though it's a fleeting moment, I'm not knocking that, it just makes the bear look like it's kind of got mad cow disease a little bit. But it's a great shot. Also wondering if you weren't cropped in quite so tight, whether we'd see more drops. I don't know. I wasn't there. I can't answer that. But it's a great capture. Great little moment, which was fleeting. Knees up just a bit. Well, there's lots of good stuff. Hey Don, let's have a look. Don, I love this picture. I think it is a cracking shot. It is a fleeting moment. The fact you have caught these guys looking up at the airplane going, oh look, there's an airplane going over. You've composed it so well, so straight. You got it so spot on. The airplane, you shot at just the right moment and caught the aircraft right in the middle between the buildings. It's not over to one side or the other. The little slash of cloud's nice. But the thing is, you did catch a fleeting moment of these guys turning around to look up and to see what's going on. I think it's a cracking shot, Don. You know, you and I have very different. You and I have quite different tastes as to things that we like, but it doesn't stop us both working together really, really well. I love that. You're going to tell me now. I nearly didn't put it in because I didn't like it so much, but I think it's a cracking picture. It's absolutely a fleeting moment. What more could I say? Oh, there's so many interesting things going on here. But I'm sorry guys, I know I spent rather a long time talking about fleeting moments, because I wanted you to have that bit of a tutorial, because I think it helps. Again, another cracking, fleeting moment, Annika Rose Clifton. Are you something to do with Mr. David Clifton? If you are, you have my commiserations. Great little moment between these two. I love the fact that you have got the light coming from behind them as well, because the light on this proud father's face, I think, is a really great thing. We've got this happy little moment here on this little face too. Okay, I'm being really, really strict on you here, but the very bright sky, it may have been a bright sky, and I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm not one of these people who goes, oh no, you can't have a bright sky. Skies are bright sometimes. But I find it distracts from them quite a lot. Now, you're in a really difficult place with this, because if we cut the sky off, it is so close to Dad's hair, but they pop out of the picture more. So what could we do? Possibly raise up a bit. Now I get it, you shot this at dad and baby level, so you're not just looking down on them. This is one of those really difficult quandary moments where you might see something that's a great moment, but the circumstances surrounding it are not playing ball with you, which is just so difficult. Agreed, Susan Firth. I can hear that little baby laughing too. But I do find the sky a bit of a distraction. I don't know if you could have gone up a tiny bit and tilted the camera down a tiny bit, possibly even almost a square crop. Do you know what? A square crop, if you just clip the top of the bushes, it's just a little bit close to baby's chin, because baby's got such a giggle going on. But it is a magic moment, it is a fleeting moment, and you did catch it. That would be my feedback. Baby is watching at the moment, says David Clifton. Wow, part of your family, my friend. That's a lovely thing. Let me ease up a bit. Blech. Reminds me of my childhood, this does, Dina. I grew up in a house with 9 dogs because my mum used to breed them, and they were continually sticking their tongues in your ear and your didder and your mouth and your eye and all that sort of stuff. It's definitely a fleeting moment. It's definitely a fleeting moment. If the dog was in kissing mode, I can't help but wonder. I hope you kept shooting if you were bursting it, you know, because then you can catch all sorts of different little moments. There's like so much tongue going on in this one. It is a fleeting moment, but also maybe come back. I feel it's a very, very tight crop. I know that's me. I'm a negative space junkie, but I just feel it is very tight. But also I'm just wondering if this gentleman turned his face slightly and got the lick up the side of the face. That would be quite good. Also, don't be afraid to interfere a bit. So you'd say, I don't know, let's say his name's John or something. John, turn your face towards me a bit, and maybe the dog will keep going. And it gives you just a little bit more room to experiment, room to play with. But technically, spot on. Look at that perfect focus, perfect colours, perfect exposure. Everything's bang on. Right aperture, shallow depth of field, all that good stuff. Yeah, I'm not giving you much in the way of technical feedback, am I, guys? Forgive me. But I'm going off down the creative path. Honestly, the technicalities of photography are really simple. There's 5 controls you need. All you got to do is to understand what those 5 things do and how they dance and interact together. That's it. Most of the stuff in your camera is a load of nonsense put there by marketing people to tell you that you need it. Don't be sucked in by that. I can teach you all those things. Just go do it. Go get. Here we go. Orion just said, don't forget Mike's masterclass. Yeah, my online masterclass in photography. If you buy a lens, right, and you change your camera, you think, oh, I've got to get this new lens. I need a better quality lens. Great. But if you change your camera, maybe that lens won't work with it. Maybe you want a different lens another day. But once you've spent 75 quid and learnt those 5 controls and how they dance and interact together with light and composition, you got that forever. Forever. For 75 quid, right? What's that? I bet you spent more than that if you go out to the pub with your partner, with your wife, your husband, your whatever. I bet you spend more than 75 quid on dinner. Robert Cook always wants a new lens. There's always one, isn't there? Who's this? Martin Lacey. Hello, Martin Lacey. I like your thinking. A fleeting moment, indeed. Yes. And I can see how you waited. How you saw, I think, that piece of light and waited for someone to walk through in front of it. That is thinking like a photographer. What I'm going to say next is we need to think more creatively in that area. Now, we're all in different places on that journey. It's very easy for me to say, oh, you need to be more creative, and why have you got all that stuff going on at the bottom and all the rest of it? We're all in different places. And I can remember taking pictures way back when, and just the fact there were some nice colours and it was sharp, I was like, wow, I did that. And it's a beautiful, wonderful thing. You have thought of something, you have spotted something, and you have worked with it. Great. Next, we need to just think, how could that be improved upon? So what I'm doing is giving you some guidance for the next time you spot something. You've got the pool of light. Now, this guy is looking kind of like into the phone. Sadly, we see too much of it these days. Spotted and waited 10 minutes. Good for you, Martin. That is hardcore, my friend. Maybe look for another pool of light. Or use this one, of course. This one is distracted because it's got other pools of light going on around it. But you know what you're looking for. See if you can find another one where there's the pool of light on its own. Maybe the light shining onto the person's face if they turn towards you or something like that. This is called a stakeout. You find a great piece of light and then wait for something to happen in it, and sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. Not easy, because yeah, if you are a full-time photographer, you can do that stuff. If on the other hand you're thinking, right, I can go out, I've got about an hour or two before I need to be wherever it is, there's a pressure on you to find something, and I get that. Well thought out, sir. Look for more pools of light like this. Look for moments when there's somebody else going on in there. Try and find some pools of light that are on their own. You occasionally get them coming in between buildings and all that, like this one. But good work. Here is a lovely little pool of light. Here we go, on that theme. Here we go, a single little pool of light. Picking out these beautiful flowers. How you doing, iGlow? I can never remember iGlow, eGlow, I can't remember. Our doctor from Iceland. Eglow's been to Lanzarote. It was good, wasn't it? Get yourselves on the Lanzarote workshop, guys. This is what I mean about a single pool of light, and it's picking out this one little clump of flowers. Igloo, I remember you telling me now, forgive me, it was years ago, wasn't it? Igloo's found this great little pool of light lighting up this little clump of flowers. Beautiful exposure. It's not the easiest thing to do because of that dark background. You've got to be a bit careful. Your camera might see all that dark and then think, oh, that's too dark, and then it will overexpose the bit you want. So Igloo has really worked on this and made sure she has got the exposure where she wants it for those flowers, for that little piece of grass. The light coming through these petals and through that leaf. Look at the rim light. Look, it's that little highlight around the edge here. Backlight. A beautiful, beautiful thing. Lovely colours, beautifully composed. So where's the fleeting moment, you say? Have you ever tried to take pictures like this? Have you any idea how quickly those little pools of light move? You see a little clump of flowers, think, oh, that's pretty, and by the time you've gone over there and you've changed your lens and you've got your camera out the bag, I never use camera bags, ever! Because by the time you got the camera out and changed the lens, the blasted photo's gone. You missed it, right? By the time you've gone over there, you've spotted the light, you've gone over there, click, and it's gone. They are fleeting moments. There are times when you might see the little flowers and see the little pool of light and think, oh, watch it. Yeah, that's going in the right direction. If I lie here, and then you've got time to practice with your composition before the light actually hits the flowers. Beautifully done. And I totally get your fleeting moment because light doesn't wait, it gets on with it. Be well, Igloo, and I hope our paths cross again soon. I'm just going to scroll to the top because we are getting towards the end of this evening and there's a few pictures we need to show you. Look at all these great fleeting moments. It's just magical, really. Who's it? Ah, Harry. I knew that was going to be you, Harry. You have a very distinctive style. And I'm guessing you shot that in a studio. I'm not sure. I've seen quite a few of your things and I think, and yeah, it's a fleeting moment. What more can I say? I would have liked to have seen the rest of that red trailing out the back. I don't know how you did it. Maybe you got it to jump somewhere. Maybe you've kind of removed some stuff. I don't know. If you're here, Harry, I'd love to know. But I would love it if she was a bit smaller in the frame and we had this red carrying on going off out that way. I think that would work very, very well. But yeah, if she's leapt into the air, which she has, you can see there's no weight on those toes. She's leapt into the air. It is definitely a fleeting moment. Yeah, exactly. Still, a little bit more of the red would be nice. Agreed. Okay, we are at the top here. If I didn't talk about your picture, please do not be offended. It doesn't mean you haven't taken a great photograph. I can't spend all evening going through every single one. You can always join my mentor group if you want. It's £35 a month, I think, £45 a month, something like that. We meet twice a month and we really dive deep, and we also get some pretty awesome guests to come and join in, some of whom have done stuff with this National Geographic and many, many other things. So beautiful pictures, guys. Well done. I love the work you put into that. It was absolutely spectacular. Now, let me get myself sorted out so we can have a look at the ones which I kept coming back to. If you haven't hit the like button, please, please, please go and hit the like button. Judy in Switzerland, I keep meaning to message you because I want to know how it went in South Africa, your trip. I apologise, it's been kind of crazy and yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to go down that path. Something happened which I'm not very, it's a bit sad, but anyway. Yes, I will. Let's speak. So, the pictures which I kept coming back to. Hang on, let's get this sorted out. There we go, that I really found engaging, but kept just reawakening my interest as a fleeting moment. Marcus Thressler. I love this. I know I'm a bit of a street photography sort of a person, but I do get the fleeting moment. I get the feeling that little girl is about to jump up and run off. I'm making this up in my head. That's what we all do. We look at pictures, we look at scenes, we make up little stories in our head about what's going on. But for me, I found this really works. Photographically, I think it works very, very well indeed. Why? Actually, that's a real question. Go on, stick it in the chat. Why do you think? What is it that makes this photo pop? Now, you might not like the picture. It may not be your style of picture. Maybe you prefer landscapes or still lifes or things like that. But I think you've got to agree there is something about this picture which makes it pop. Absolutely. The red. It's the red. That little girl in that red coat, she just grabs your attention immediately and looks thoroughly bored by the band in the background. Like she can't, either she's waiting them to play or she's waiting them to go away, I'm not sure. Or she's waiting for you, Marcus, to get a move on because she's had enough, assuming you know her, I don't know. But look at the way it's positioned. It's really, really nicely done. We've got the band at the top. There is no extra space. I know, rare thing for me to say because I'm always talking about giving things space to breathe. But it's really concentrating on the band. She's in a little tiny bit of a pool of light herself, which is wonderful. And she's so alone, even though there are all those people there. And I think she's about to run off and go and do something else, or run up to you if she is to do with you and go, can we go now? Something like that. Cracking picture. Nicely done, Marcus. Right. Then we have, I thought this was a great little fleeting moment from Glyn Haskins. You know how quickly these little things move? I think we've all seen them poke their head out. Well, it depends where you are in the world, of course. But, you know, the way they just like, they pop out, they look around like that and then boom, they're gone. And I think it's a really great little moment. What more can I say? My coaching to you, Glyn, is on my screen it doesn't look 100% sharp, but I'm going to blame that on Facebook because it does weird things to pictures. You've got a lovely shallow depth of field. It's right on the bird's eye. Look at the difference between the eye and the feet. There is a very shallow depth of field, and that takes a bit of doing, particularly with something this small that moves that quickly. Unless, of course, you bought one from a stuffed bird shop. But I think it's a cracking picture. I love it. What more can I say? It's correctly exposed. It's nicely done. It's very simple. I like the straight lines and how they juxtapose with the perfect circular bird coming out of its little hole with those little feet sitting on the edge. Nicely done, Glyn. Then we have, I think, this little moment from John Colony. Look at the light on that little face. Look at the movement blur. Just a little hint of it and it works. She's being thrown up in the air. She's just leaving the lady's hands and she's loving it, the way she's shrieking and laughing. There's some really nice light picking out that happy, delighted, excited little face. It's a lovely simple composition. The straight lines are taking us up. They're not quite leading lines because they're not sort of going in, but it doesn't matter. Those lines, the back of the lady's head, those lines coming up to that shrieking little girl who's loving being thrown up in the air. Well captured, John Colony, and I think it's really, really well done. Exactly, Beverly Devine. The light is great. I think this definitely fits the brief of fleeting moment. Kim Goucher. I'm probably pronouncing your name completely wrong. It's Goucher or Gachet or something like that. Sorry, Kim. Beautiful exposure, spot on. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful light. Picking out those feathers as that bird is flapping across. Perfect timing to capture the bird between the trees. If the beak was just over that tree on the right, it wouldn't work. If the tail feathers were just over the trees on the left, it wouldn't work. You've got a lovely shallow depth of field making the shot work, and it stands out. Look at the light, that beautiful, beautiful shiny light. Let me just look at this a bit bigger. I would say the light is coming from in front of the bird and it's washing across those feathers, giving them texture. Black and white, I think, was a really great choice. It works so well because of the texture of the feathers. There is also, even in this, just a hint of movement blur in the tips of the feathers, which animates the picture as well. Not an easy thing to do, because that's shot with a pretty long lens. That's not an easy thing to do. Very, very well done indeed. This, I think, was completely different, and I really, really loved it. Hervé, a fleeting moment. Now, Don, I love the shot of yours with the aircraft in the sky and the people looking at it. This is just so different. It's this moment when this person is swimming between two buildings. How often do you get to use that sentence? Look at this person swimming between these two tall buildings. How fantastic is that? I really do. Hervé, you're a street guy and you're good at it. I know. But the things that to me work is are the lines. Look at the lines, the buildings tapering off up into the sky. The difference between the buildings. We've got these balconies on this side. There's lots of rectangles going on We got the balconies on this side, all rectangular. We got these like apartment, I don't know what the building is, but these lines, it's all rectangles, rectangular windows, rectangular sort of slots. The rectangle going between the buildings up here, the rectangle this person is swimming in, and then that lovely little Y-shaped human shape doing the breaststroke in between the buildings. Also, great timing, because if the swimmer wasn't in that position, it wouldn't be obvious what was going on. Yeah, you're good at street stuff, Hervé, and you put so much work into it. Guys, go and look at his stuff. He's posting all the time in the group. Really great street photography. Hervé's another person who gets out there, goes different places, finds inspiration. That's what you need to do. Of course, I want you to come on one of my workshops. I want to meet you. I want to help you. I want to teach you. I also want to earn some money because that's how I make a living. However, go out there, find some inspiration, find something to do. Still, there's a building in Vancouver, very, very similar. Great. Go play with it. I've never seen anything like it. I think it's a cracking shot. So the one which I kept coming back to, for me, my fleeting moment of the month was that one from Alison Bow. You ever tried to photograph a bee having a go at a flower, harvesting pollen or nectar or whatever it is they harvest? It's not easy. It's not easy. They move fast. Well done, Orion. Well, I knew you would have done, Orion, obviously. Sorry, idiot, Browne. But they move so fast. They do not hang around. That means you don't have that much of an opportunity. But look what's going on here. It is so obviously a fleeting moment. But look at those little grains of pollen coming off the bee, all beautifully backlit. The light is coming from behind the bee. I keep talking about backlighting. Guys, go and backlight stuff. Put the light behind the subject and see what happens. Also, you need your background to be in some sort of shade for that highlight to stand out. If that bee was against a bright background, you wouldn't notice the backlight. You wouldn't see those little grains of pollen. All the colours work. We've got a golden bee, a golden pollen, golden light, and then those little flashes of gold and red bokeh going on in the background with a little flash of green on the plant. Alison, cracking job. Alison is testament to getting stuck in and going for it. Alison did a one-on-one training day with me. I don't know if you did the online stuff. She also has been in my mentor group. Sometimes she isn't anymore. She's time for her to move on. She said, right, I want to go explore other stuff. But what Alison has done is practice, 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 practice. If you look at the pictures in the group, you will notice, yeah, she's got some great pictures. But Alison puts in an extraordinary amount of time to working with her photography. What is it now, Alison? 18 months, possibly 2 years since you started doing it? Good stuff. Good one, Orion. This one is a wall hanger. Yeah, I would agree with you. So, I guess that brings us to the end. Coming up on 2 years since Alison picked up a camera. You've seen her Squirrel Town stuff. You've seen other stuff, you know, in the group. So, go and have a look. If you're watching this and you don't know what group I'm talking about, click the link below, Photo Creative. It will explain everything. There is a Facebook group where everybody intermingles, chats and talks and supports one another and asks for ideas. Sometimes they go on meetups and all that stuff. And we have our challenges. And indeed, Still Matthews, light is very important. Light is the most important thing. Sure, you've got to be able to drive the camera and make it do your bidding, because cameras don't take pictures, people take pictures. That's you and me, folks. But light is the key. So everybody, thank you very, very much for being here. Thank you for your support. If you haven't hit that like button yet, please do so. It really does make a difference. If you want to support Photo Creative by making a small donation, it's not expected but highly appreciated. There's a link below to the page. You'll find out how you can do it. whatever works for you. But thank you for being here. The next challenge is going live once I have finished this live stream. Those of you on my newsletter, you're going to get that very shortly after, as you know, with some other good stuff going on in that. Beyond that, I wish you well, and I'll see you next time. Take care, guys.